What's up? Welcome to episode 510 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. Whether you are sitting at home watching some Magic 30 panels and some World Championship coverage, or maybe you are at the event itself, we are here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And on today's episode, we are going to wrap up all of the amazing stuff that was Magic 30.
It was so much stuff.
It was a lot of stuff.
The volume of stuff was high.
High volume stuffage, and it was like pretty dang awesome.
It was very, very cool. We'll talk the World Championship, which of course happened.
Yep.
We'll talk some of the highlights of just the Magic 30 event.
Yes.
And we'll talk a lot about some of the Brothers War previews because, wow, we got a lot of previews in the last week.
Yes, we sure did. And we've also got a preview of our own.
We also have a preview card for you.
We've got a preview card for you.
Aren't you lucky?
Here's a little hint. I like this card.
Do you know what? And I also like this card.
Oh, okay, great.
So how about that?
Excellent.
You can start making your guesses now.
There's only been one card in the history of Magic the Gathering that both Megan and I liked. So
wait, what is it?
Do you remember what card it was? I can't.
No.
We talked about it on the last year's Crimbies episode. It was like a card that both Maria and Megan would
like,
play.
I like this and I like this.
And I believe it was a white card, but you know, can't remember anything else other than that.
Well, it's because memories don't exist anymore.
My memory is completely useless these days. Almost utterly. My brain is only living in the present and moving forward at all times.
Hey, do you know what? That's not a bad way to be. Goldfish brain?
That's true. Okay. That's true. Yeah, goldfish brain. Well, it's not. Yeah, I guess it is goldfish brain.
That's what they do.
I am a human goldfish.
Nice.
I live in a bowl. And
Wait, what?
I live in a bowl of water. People give me flakes for food, and sometimes I eat my own poop. That's my life.
What a morning. What a morning over here.
But before we kick off the show in earnest, hey, thank you to everybody who makes the show happen by being a patron. You get the crown today, the Patreon crown.
Thank you so much. And thank you especially to new patron Lynn.
Yay, Lynn.
Lynn, this one's for you. There's a lot of content in this episode.
You got a good episode,
it is
Lynn.
all Lynn's.
If you want to be like Lynn and have an episode named in your honor, you sure can. Just go to patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Subscribe. You can start at $1 a month. That's very cheap for supporting literally anything.
You get your own episode dedicated to you. And you get access to our awesome Discord, which is a hopping place to be.
Do you want to talk about what's happening next month?
Wow, I do want to talk about what's happening next month.
Yes.
Next month is a month known as December. So in the month of...
in the English language.
Okay. So, fair enough. So we are having a patron pledge drive month this December.
Yay!
And this patron pledge drive month, we have a very special limited quantity.
Yes. Limited edition.
Yes. A limited edition gift that goes with new pledges and new pledges of $10 or more specifically, and current pledges that are upped by $5 or more. And they will get this stunning playmat. Are you ready for this? If you are watching, if you're watching, you can see this.
Yes. If you're listening,
you
can't.
You can't. You can go over to our Twitter and see a photo of this playmat.
Look at this.
Look at this
horse.
Look at this horse.
This is the most beautiful playmat I've ever seen in my whole life. It is
incredible.
Featuring art from our good friend Chris Rodriguez, with Slippery Boggle wearing a Daybear coronet, and Treasure Cruise sailing in the background.
What more do you want? Nothing. Nothing more can be wanted.
In comic book art style.
It is a stunning playmat.
It's beautiful.
If you use this playmat, you are going to get people talking to you about it.
Yeah.
Because it looks
the colors
so
are
good.
popping.
They are vibrant.
It's beautiful. And like Megan said, this starts in December. If you're a new patron, you can pledge for $5 and you'll $10.
Yeah.
$10 a month and you'll get this playmat.
Yes.
Or if you're an existing patron, you just up your pledge by $5 in the month of December, you get this playmat. Or you pledge a yearly pledge. You can pay it all up front for a discount. You get this playmat.
Yes.
Or
Or
option 4.
If you are already a patron and you're like, holy smokes, I really want to get my hands on that, because there are only 100 of them.
There's only 100.
We have 100, so it is the first new or upped pledges, the first 100. But if you are currently a patron, instead of starting on December 1st, November 28th, 29th, and 30th, so we're opening on the 28th, if you up your pledge, the 28th, 29th, or 30th, you're in early.
Yes. Early access.
Yes, you get early access. So if you're like, I really want to make sure that I'm one of the first 100 people, you can become a new patron at $5 this month and then up it by $5 at the end of the month. And it is as if you became a new $10 patron.
Absolutely.
And you will be getting this playmat. You'll get early access to it. It is just stunning.
It's really great, everybody.
That was a lot of words, but mostly the thing is, look, it's a hot playmat, y'all.
Yeah, we want you to have it.
We want you to have it, please. Become a new patron, up your pledge. If you have questions, ask them.
Ask them. Yeah, but it's less than you would pay for a playmat normally, and you're supporting our podcast.
Yeah.
So I think you're getting a really good deal by doing this.
If you have a question, we'll solve it.
Put it on the Twitter, and we'll revolve it.
There you go.
We want to say thank you to Card Kingdom as well for being an amazing sponsor of us. You can pre-order Brothers War over on cardkingdom.com/GLHF right now, starting today. You can also pre-order a bunch of other stuff if you're interested in singles or that kind of thing. You can get those Warhammer 40k decks. You can get a box of Infinity to draft over the holidays. But Brothers War is looking really sweet so far.
It looks very nice. There's some cards in here you're going to want.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a high power set with a lot of impact on a ton of formats.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about it, we recommend Card Kingdom. Their customer service is amazing. cardkingdom.com/GLHF. We're kicking off the show this week with a discussion about Magic 30.
Wow. Let me tell you, even though we were technically there, I had some real event FOMO because we were working the whole time.
Know.
We were working. I got to see people for a hot second.
A second. Truly, it was a second.
Which was a highlight, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It was amazing. But we would get to hear people cheering out at the main stage, and it was just oh dang it!
I know it was okay. Apologies that we had to work so much, everybody. But the World Championship is a show that really puts it on you. So
don't stop.
We wish we could have been out there more. Maybe in the future events we'll be able to be out there amongst everybody a little bit more, because too it was just an incredible spectacle.
It was really cool. So first, the layers. So they had all over. There were a bunch of these Planeswalker layers, which were gorgeous sets that had a Planeswalker in that, a cosplayer as a Planeswalker in them, and tables where you could sit and play.
Yeah.
And they just looked so cool.
They were beautiful.
There's Professor Onyx's study.
There was Teferi's whatever, wherever he does what he does.
His fancy office.
Garrick's forest.
Yes. Maybe one of my favorite one was Elspeth's
oh yeah, I love that one.
1920s lounge.
Yeah, Elspeth's Halo Lounge.
Yes.
All the angel milk you could possibly want.
Oh no, angel sweat.
They were just absolutely beautiful.
Oh, they were so cool. It was one of the coolest things to walk through and see these places.
So there was 10,000 people who came to this event. It was completely sold out.
Yeah.
When we walked in on the first day before anybody got there, because we were setting up for the World Championship, I just had this feeling of I don't know if I've ever been in a bigger space.
It was enormous.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And the people were there. It was just people every inch. There was a person.
There was a person. There was a person everywhere. Here a person, there a person.
Everywhere a person. And it was a different feeling to Grand Prix if you've been to those before, because those are tournament focused. And there's vendors and stuff on the sides. And it was even better than when they had the celebrations in Vegas.
Yeah. There was just
in the past.
There was just more. There was just more.
More. And the spirit of it felt like a con, right?
Yes.
It felt like you were going to a con because there was just so much school spirit for Magic. That's the way I'm going to put it.
School spirit for Magic. There was a really great Game Nights Live episode.
That was truly one of the most unbelievable things I've seen. Yeah. I could not. How many people do you think were watching that?
Oh, everyone.
Literally 10,000 people.
10,000 people. 10,000 people were sitting and watching it.
And they'd make a play and people would just erupt in cheers. Yep. And I'm like, what? But I mean, I was thoroughly impressed by that
Yeah.
Game Nights Live experience.
It was so cool. There was a really awesome cosplay contest.
Yes.
Which there was like an amazing Ashiok cosplay.
The amazing Ashiok cosplay
which had like
won.
smoke literally coming out of the top of like the headpiece.
It was so cool.
It was so cool. There was some really amazing cosplay. That part, like all of that stuff was awesome.
There was a bunch of vendors selling stuff. I would say that in like if you're thinking about future events, I would put even more vendors, more artists on site. There was a play area for competitive play as well as a play area for commander play. My only thing is like I wish that there were on-demand events at these.
And I think that was everyone. I
So-
think that everyone literally wished that there was on-demand.
If there was on-demand at this, I like don't know. Other than the issues they had with like letting people into the command zone area to play,
Yeah.
which they amended on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel and like a bigger place to access to watch the World Championship. Those are the
They,
only
like-
two things I would say
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, like more open play space
Yep.
just for like sitting down and grabbing a game. And yes, on-demand events of every kind.
Yes.
Because I talked to multiple people who are like, oh, I
I played my event.
exactly.
Now what I
and
do.
like I wish that I had known that
Yeah.
I should sign up for more stuff or something.
Yeah,
Like,
then you could just go back in and crush drafts or whatever all
Exactly, like,
weekend.
go play on
play
demands.
modern, whatever. So I think like those, and then just having a bigger access to watch the competitive play space area. And that's 3 comments. That's
Great.
not a lot.
It was really
It was
amazing.
a really, really, truly remarkable
very,
event.
very cool.
And they announced at this event that the next big Magic event is going to be in Philadelphia in February.
Ooh, Philadelphia.
Did they say when in February?
Yes, they did.
Is it my birthday?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that it is mid-February and I don't remember.
Well, let me see if I can Google my. How do you spell Philadelphia?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. All right. It's February 17th through the 19th. Okay.
Okay.
All will gather. That's what it says.
Spooky.
And Elish is standing there on the graphic.
Oh, as someone has said, this art of Elish Norn is
It's really good.
really good.
Really good. So February
good.
17th through the 19th, 2023 is going to be the next event. No word on what the scale of it's going to be,
Yeah.
or it's probably not going to be as big as Magic 30.
I mean, probably not. But I think that they did legitimately move it to Philly to be big.
Oh, okay, great.
I think that they were like, let's make it bigger.
Let's make it bigger. I mean, like this, they've got to say this is a resounding success.
Yes.
I mean,
When everything's sold
unmitigated
out.
success.
Yes.
You don't usually hear unmitigated and success next to each other. Normally it's disaster.
Yes.
This is an unmitigated success. Yeah, just really, really made me happy to see so many people having so much fun and joy celebrating Magic. The brief time I was walking through Magic 30, I looked over at the event section that was like doing some limited, or I don't actually know what they were playing over there, what was offered. But
Yeah.
I just had this like pain in my heart. I was like, oh my God, I want to play a GP
I know.
again.
Oh, we got to see. There were so many cute Unfinity events.
Yes, great Unfinity events.
So cute.
Did you have the feeling that you're like, oh, I want to play in a paper event again,
Yeah.
like at a like GP level?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the feeling I had walking through.
What a time.
I was like, just put it right into my veins, please. But everyone just seemed to be having a great time.
Yeah.
Smiles all the time. I don't know. It was just wonderful to be amongst your people, you know?
It was a really sweet time. Was it weird being around that many people? Also, yes. Also, yes. But
Also, yes. Well, let's talk about the World Championship, which also happened at Magic 30.
yeah, so this was a 32-player competition across Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They did draft, they did standard, they did explorer, they did standard again in the top 4.
Yes, it was a fantastic event.
Yes, it was really cool.
Really, really cool.
So let's kick it off talking about the 3-0 draft decks.
Yes, so draft was what we started the weekend with. There's 4 pods for the 32 players.
And like seeing people draft again, like at a high level event, so great.
There is nothing like it.
real nice.
If you're a limited fan, this is like your Christmas. I mean,
Yeah.
it is truly a treat. And when the drafts are recorded, because they drafted a day early, just because of the way production has to work, in the back we could see all 8 drafts happening at the same time on a TV screen, which was like, it's just like the limited player is just like their brain is on fire.
Yeah.
You know, they just love it. For the average person, that is probably too much information to ever want to see at one time.
Yeah.
But for some of the extra special amongst us, it was just catnip.
Yeah. So let's talk about these 3-0 drafts.
Yes.
Starting off, Nathan Stoyer had a 3-0 draft, which was classic black-white walls.
Black, white defenders.
Black, white defenders. He's got 2 shield wall sentinels. He's got 2 wingmantle chaplains. 2! What more do you need to know?
Yeah, this draft deck is just a thing of beauty.
It really is, right? Also 2 walking bulwark, 2 blight pile, a clockwork drawbridge. Like,
he had it all.
Who let him have
this?
He
had it all.
Who let him draft this?
I can only imagine he picked one that wingmantle chaplain.
I think
that's
he did. Probably what you have to do.
And of course, it's the right move.
Yes. Do you know what? It certainly paid off. That deck is just really
sick. Deck was
sick.
Sweet.
Next up was Johnny Gutman.
Another of the very young players.
Yes.
Making a 3-0 here.
And he went with, this is like a classic domain deck.
Yeah,
He's
domain.
all 5 colors up in here.
So kind of almost the opposite of what Nathan was doing with his 3-0 deck.
Yeah. What stands out to me here is Techyova, Steward of Tides, obviously.
And he's running domain with Joda's Codex, which
yes. Just tap, draw a card.
You gotta do it.
You love tap, draw a card.
We have a sweet bomb in Temporal Firestorm, the one that basically sweeps the board, lets you blink out your own creature, and then kills everything else.
That card is very
great.
Good.
Card's
very
great.
Good. So yeah, this is like, it's really nice too to see a domain deck
I agree.
Go 3-0 because
agree.
they are decks that I think have suffered a little bit from the format's more tempo-oriented strategy. But here it's just like, nope, do you know what?
And it's kind of the hallmark deck of the format.
Yeah, it's like a 5-color domain. Next up, Julian Wellman. Another one of the Zoomers.
Yeah, another Zoomer.
Another
Young
Zoomer
player.
up in here. Classic white-blue tempo. Almost mono-white.
Almost mono-white.
There are very few blue cards in here.
There's 2.
There's 2.
There's 2 plus to pay for the kicker cost on Stall for Time.
Yes.
The only 2 blue cards are Soaring Drake and Protect the Negotiators. So
yeah. Other than that, though, it's like, right? It's just what we said. It's like, it's a classic tempo deck. It's got, like, you're playing a bunch of creatures, like Resolute Reinforcements, a Banalish Sleeper. He's got a Valiant Veteran, which is a nice rare, an Argivian Help me!
Argivian Cavaliers.
Yes, 2 Argivian Cavaliers, Argivian Phalanxes, right? Like
3 of those.
Yeah, 3
so
of
that's
those.
the big 4/4 that you can just play for 1 mana under many circumstances in this deck.
Captain's Call, of course, 2 Heroic Charge.
Sarah Paragon.
Oh yeah,
you've got to mention that card because you can just play all of your
busted.
little cards back from the graveyard with that Flying Angel.
So good. This is what we're talking about when I'm talking about those tempo decks, right? This is like, yep, creatures.
Stall for time.
Stall for time.
You lose.
Attack.
Tristan Wild LaRue is our final 4-0 drafter. Are you sensing a theme here? Because here's another young player.
Yes, absolutely. They came prepared for this draft.
They absolutely did. The young players destroyed draft and put to shame the older players.
Yeah, they did.
They put them to shame.
Put them to shame. This is a little red-white aggro deck.
Yeah, this was the featured pod that we had at the World Championship. So if you want to see some draft action, you can go back and watch and see how Tristan drafted this deck. Not drafted because we watched Siggy, but we followed Tristan for the final couple of rounds of play because he was doing so well. It's red-white, so it's a Boros aggressive deck, which we called coming into the format was a good deck to be on, to draft. If you're drafting Keldon Strike Team, which there's a copy of in this, 3 copies of Argivian Cavalier, 3 copies of Coalition War Leader. So this is kind of like bigger red-white beatdowns, and his table could not deal with it. So props to Tristan for this deck, who just found the right seat to be in. Nobody else was drafting this at the table.
Yeah.
And just was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and smash your face. And when I run out of little creatures, I'm going to play my 3/4 Coalition War Brute and just attack you with that because you've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
You can't just sit back and do nothing. Congrats to our 3-0 drafters, the 4-3-0 drafters at Worlds.
All right, Maria, next up is our best standard decks.
Okay.
Which, surprisingly, were not the Esper decks necessarily.
No.
Like, they did end up in the top 4, but that was more based on those players' performances like all around.
Yes.
And especially in the Explorer rounds, because in Standard, we saw the Is It Tempo deck. This deck was so sick.
Yeah, so to just wind up for a second, Esper Midrange was the most brought deck with nearly 70%.
Yes.
So that's 22 players playing that deck, which is kind of absurd, everybody.
It was, yeah.
That level of
very, very powerful,
metagame
obviously.
was like, whoa. And I don't think the players expected it either. We all thought coming in that Esper Midrange was the best deck, right? Mm-hmm. But we didn't expect 22 people to be on it because we expected probably other people would say, wait a second, I figured out a way to beat it. And like Meghan said, one of the players who did figure out a way to beat it was Julian Wellman, who brought an Is It Tempo deck in Standard that put those Esper decks to shame. And Julian was...
To shame.
Julian, once again, a very young Magic player, a Zoomer here from Team Handshake, ready to like just take out the older players in the field, brought Is It Tempo. The deck destroyed the Is It deck. And Julian was our last undefeated player at the end of day one.
Yeah, he was. As... You know what? So the other deck that did very, very well in the Standard portion was none other than Jean-Emmanuel Duprat's Mono Blue Tempo.
Yes, I love this deck.
He didn't have a great draft, so he didn't end up like at the top of the standings at the end of day one, but he was one of the few people who had like 4 or 5 undefeated rounds in Standard. I want to say he won 4 out of his 5 Standard rounds. This Mono Blue Tempo deck, this is the one we were talking about. It's got 4 Tolarian Terror and 4 Haughty Djinn.
So I had been playing this deck before this tournament. However, I had been playing with Delver of Secrets. Turns out, Jean-Emmanuel Duprat was like, you don't need Delver.
You don't need Delver of
All
Secrets.
you need to do is play your one drops, your 1 mana spells, boom, 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 and power out those Tolarian Terrors.
I think that we saw him on a turn with 3 mana, or 4 mana, cast Consider... Tolarian Terror, Spell Pierce Tolarian Terror. That's what he used his 4 mana on.
Do you want a 5/5 with Ward 2 for a single mana? I think you probably do.
Consider Tolarian Terror. Someone tries to counter the Tolarian Terror. He Spell Pierces it.
Consider it.
Another Tolarian Terror. He had 2 Tolarian Terrors in play.
It was great. The other card that JED plays, the other creature.
Oh, it wasn't. I was thinking, I was like, oh, Spell Pierce, but it's because he had a, Haughty Djinn. Wait, no, there is Spell Pierce. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, there's...
You also got to see him cast a lot of, 1 mana Essence Scatters and a lot of 1 mana Make Disappears because Haughty Djinn reduces the cost of those.
Yes, so the only 2 creatures JED plays are Tolarian Terror and Haughty Djinn, right?
Yeah.
And Haughty Djinn was also featured in that Is It Tempo deck by Julian Wellman we mentioned. So Haughty Djinn was kind of like...
Yeah, it was a standout card from the weekend that I think no one really had on their radars as being a standout card in the Standard format.
It won our card of the day on Standard Day.
Yeah.
For good reason, because once you're playing all these tiny little cantrips, it pumps the power of Haughty Djinn. So I think we saw somebody one-shot with a Haughty Djinn.
Yes, we saw...
I can't remember who it was.
It might have been Duprat.
It was probably Duprat.
Yeah,
just 20'd somebody with this card.
Yes.
20'd them.
You just make a huge Djinn.
Boom. Beautiful. Just a truly beautiful thing. The difference between Wellman's deck and that mono blue tempo deck is Wellman was playing with Lear, Disciple of the Drowned, to be able to flash back all the spells from the graveyard and that kind of thing.
That's pretty spicy.
So yeah, it was a kind of a different idea, but similar wavelengths to Jean-Emmanuel Duprat. So if you're looking to beat Esper Midrange and Standard, look to Is It Tempo or Mono Blue Tempo. Those 2 decks kind of took them to the cleaners this weekend in Standard.
Day 2 was all Explorer, 6 rounds of Explorer, which was pretty sweet. I really enjoyed watching this format.
Yeah, Explorer, this is the first time we got to see Explorer explored, if you will, at high level tournament play. It is essentially Pioneer minus a couple of key cards because they're not on Arena yet. So it's the Pioneer of Arena. And it was really fun to see people, kind of dive into this format for the first time. It's just not something we get to witness a lot because formats will be pretty well and truly trodden by the time that they're showcased at events like the World Championship. Mm-hmm. And so seeing Explorer kind of boom, here we go. First time meant that the metagame for Explorer was pretty diverse.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And there's a bunch of different archetypes, plenty of one-ofs, really spicy stuff. Simon Gertzen brought a mono red Fires list, which was really fun. He loved that deck. He didn't do well in the tournament, but I think that deck's very cool.
Yeah.
We talked about Enigmatic Incarnation on the show last week. I love that deck. Somebody brought it. I was hoping somebody did, and somebody did. Thumbs up.
Heading into the last round of day 2, there were 2 different undefeated Explorer decks.
Okay, great.
One was Ely Cassis' Mono Blue Spirits.
Spirits.
It really pains me to say.
Spirits.
You know how, do you know what? Look, I've chosen to just hate spirits. Okay.
I mean,
I chose it a long time ago, and I'm not letting go.
Is it because that they're playing creatures in blue? Is that why you're mad?
I think maybe so, yes. It feels fundamentally pretty messed up, if you ask me.
But also, they're playing a lot of counter magic.
Yeah, but there's too many creatures in there. You're telling me, look. You're telling me that you want to have a creature in terms of in Mausoleum Wanderer, but then you want it to also be a counter spell? No. Okay, over here in our house, we play good old-fashioned actual counter spells like Counterspell. All right? We don't put it on a stick. We don't use a little creature to do our dirty work. No, we're not. We do it ourselves. Okay, Maria?
Okay, fine. You might have liked Greg Orange's deck then. That was Azorius control. It was pure control. I did a deck tech with Greg in Standard, but he played Control in both Standard and Explorer.
Classic Greg Orange.
And I was talking to him and I was like, okay, what are your win conditions? It's the Wandering Emperor and a single Hullbreaker Horror. And I was like, I guess you hate to win the game, but you've got to do it. And he was like, yeah, that's true. I didn't even want to play the Hullbreaker Horror. Truly a man after Meghan's heart.
Really, really great. So anyways, Ely Cassis' Mono Blue Spirits deck, which was actually, I'll admit, it was kind of cool to watch.
It was. You had to think about so many things.
Yes. And the mirrors of it were actually very interesting because players have this card Shacklegeist, which is 1 and a blue for a 2/2 flyer. Shacklegeist can block only creatures with flying. Tap 2 untapped spirits you control. Tap target creature you don't control.
Do you want to see a brain bleeding happening live on television?
It's two players, both with Shacklegeists in play, trying to figure out how many of their things they can tap to tap their opponent's things to not be dead on the crackback. But then their opponent has to think about how many things they can tap to tap their opponents. It's like a very intricate game of chess.
I mean, it was definitely one of the coolest moments of the weekend watching that mirror. Was it between Ely and Jim Davis?
I think so, yeah.
Playing both on Spirits and Explorer. Go back, watch it if you didn't, because how interesting to watch that game play out. I mean, there was a million different decision points, and it was top-notch match for sure.
Really cool stuff. And then the other one was Yuta Takahashi's Abzan Greasefang deck.
Undefeated in Explorer?
5-0 in Explorer going into the final round. So he unfortunately lost the final round.
Oh, Yuta. Yeah. I know we almost had a top 4 with our reigning world champ again, Yuta Takahashi.
Yeah, Ely's Mono Blue deck was 6-0. Yuta's Abzan Greasefang deck was 5-1, only losing that very last round of Explorer. And do you know what? The Greasefang deck was also sick to watch, man.
Yeah.
This deck was cool.
Much so like Standard, where we had Esper Midrange as the most represented deck, Abzan Greasefang was the most represented deck in Explorer, although by a much smaller margin than the Standard portion of the tournament. Greasefang combo, get the Greasefang out, get your Barhelian 2 back onto the battlefield, swing in with a million angels.
You know what? We got to see it happen, and it was great.
It's pretty disgusting.
How can you be mad about it, man?
I don't know. People were, though.
People get mad about this deck, but come on, it's just a rat. It's a rat doing her job. And her job is
getting greasy.
Is to go resurrect an enormous angel creating monstrosity out of the graveyard.
I don't get mad at this kind of deck. It's just there's too many ways to disrupt it.
It's just too stinking cool.
It's trying to do its combo thing. When it does its combo thing, it does its combo thing.
Yes. And there's so many ways to disrupt the combo thing. Yeah.
It's a magic deck.
I do love all of the ways that they have to get their Parhelions into the graveyard, like Grizzly Salvage, a classic, and then also just playing a Liliana of the Veil and plussing it so that you each discard. It's that's so much value for you. You want to discard and you get your opponent to discard something.
Truly beautiful.
A plus. And I also loved the ways that they had to get Greasefang back into play if Greasefang died, Can't Stay Away.
Yeah.
Which is a card that we didn't really see a ton of from Midnight Hunt, but it's great. You know, it was really cool. We also got to see Witherbloom Command. I just love that this deck has a lot of tools in it that aren't your classic just super powerful things. They're very tuned to doing what this deck wants to do. And it's just really cool to see them in action.
I do love to see cards that are essentially draft cards showing up in constructed decks.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to see. So yeah, Greasefang, one of the best decks in Explorer, as well as the Mono Blue Spirits, which was, I think, the right call for Explorer this weekend specifically.
Seemed really good.
Then we had our cut to our top 4 on Sunday, which we went back to standard.
Yeah.
Our top 4 players were Nathan Stoyer, Zoomer, Ely Cassis, has been in the game for a long time. Grinder.
Has been playing the game the longest of any of the competitors in this field.
I feel like I've cast matches with Ely back in the day at Grand Prix, and I called him Eli. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to say your name. Yeah. Now I do. Yakub Toth, also a young player, and Carl Serap, a young player.
Yeah.
Into the top 4.
Wow.
So Meghan and our predictions did not make it.
Absolutely not. They were both 6'8". They both.
Well, we tied, I guess.
Yeah, we did tie. Which, do you know what, Maria? That I think that works because I think neither of us deserves socks.
After our bad calls.
Yes, like 6'8".
They were still good. They were still good options.
6'8" is a bad enough call that you don't get socks. Nobody gets socks. You don't get rewarded for that.
Oh,
they were
dang
great picks. But they both had pretty.
Jean-Emmanuel Deprat didn't do well in Explorer, so he had done well in Standard in 2-1 draft or something. So there was a chance of him. At one point, he was number 1 on the leaderboard, and I screenshot it and sent it to Meghan. But then, sadly, he didn't do well the rest of the tournament.
When you say at one point he was number 1 on the leaderboard, that was just after round 1.
Yep. Yeah, but he was still number 1.
Well, okay.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it was a fantastic top 4.
Yeah.
The finals were Ely Cassis versus Nathan Stoyer. And it was a great
finals.
It was a great finals, so especially match 2.
I was gonna say the whole story of this is that like at the end of day 2 in Explorer, Ely played Nathan and just crushed him.
Yes.
Which makes sense because the Mono Blue Spirits deck had one of the red ley lines in the sideboard. They could not cast it. They could only put it into play if it was in their opening hand. But it's the one that says like if a spell or an ability an opponent controls targets you, it deals 2 to them.
Yes. And so Nathan was on Rakdos Sacrifice.
Exactly. Like if you those Mayhem Devils, you all of a sudden you can't use Mayhem Devil triggers on stuff because you get hit for 2 every time you do it.
Yeah.
So just like absolutely dream crushed him and like put Nathan Stoyer into a spot where he didn't think he was going to make the top 4. And to be fair, he was one of like 5 players all with the same record who were competing for the very last spot.
Yes.
But then he was the one on Tiebreakers who made it.
Yeah. There was some footage of him crying after he lost to Ely, which it just broke your heart because Nathan has been playing Magic since he was a very small, tiny baby child. Yeah. And you might argue he still is at 20 years old.
Yeah.
But I Googled him and I found an old article from Daily MTG where it was a photo of Nathan in the feature match area at a GP. Yes. And it was called like Future.
We tweeted this from
Magical Futures. Yeah. The article was called Magical Futures. And wow, did we set ourselves up for greatness here because in the end, Nathan came back and won the whole thing.
So this is a photo of him at GP San Diego in 2015 on day 2, by the way.
Wow.
This is him playing in round 10 and he's
13 years old in this photo.
Literal child.
Yep.
And then him at Worlds, which is very, very cool.
So cool to see somebody grow up through the game like that.
Yeah.
And then wind up on Magic's biggest stage in the finals of the World Championship.
Yeah. So then he lost to Ely in the top, like the first round of the top 4.
Played again, lost again.
In the the upper semifinals, but it was double elimination.
Yep.
So he fell down to the bottom bracket, fought his way all the way through the bottom bracket again, like beat Carl Serap, who was down there, beat Jakub Toth, who was down there, and then faced Ely again in a best of 3 matches.
Yes.
Final match.
And so for the first match, Ely wins.
Yes.
Second match, Nathan wins. I mean, we gave
and
you
they all
everything.
go to 3 games.
All went to 3 games.
They all went to 3 games. So the third match also goes to 3 games.
So Nathan is playing Grixis mid-range as opposed to Esper mid-range in Standard. And that was an excellent call for this weekend as well. So that's another Standard deck to highlight as one that had the edge against Esper. So in the top 4, he was certainly very well positioned against the rest of the field who were only playing Esper mid range.
Yes, and to be fair, like I would say, like Ely beat him in that first semifinals.
Yeah,
but then everyone else, like Nathan, just pretty much crushed.
Yeah, he did.
Ely just had his number on this deck.
Certainly did.
So it was also just like very impressive of Ely to come through and like be the person who's like, oh, in this unfavorable matchup, I took 2 matches off of Nathan that day. But then lost the last 2 to him.
Yeah, Ely would have also been a wonderful champion to have and certainly well deserving. Very happy to see him do so well in this tournament. He's just a wonderful guy. And I'm sure we'll see him winning tournaments left and right and forward coming up in the coming years. The same is true for Nathan.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine?
20 years old.
20 years old. You are the world champion of Magic.
And he was just obviously so like overwhelmingly
happy. It was a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
Like this is his life. This is his life, Magic the Gathering. And he has now been crowned the best at the thing that is his life. Can you imagine that feeling?
Wild. He's also he's already won a mock showcase.
He's won two
mock showcases this year.
Do you know how hard it is to qualify for a mocks?
And then he just like
won
qualified
2 of them,
and then won 2 of them.
He qualified for 3 of the 4.
Do you know, he's now qualified for next year's Worlds, but he was already qualified for next year's Worlds.
I mean, seriously, this kid is good at Magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more year and I'll stop calling you a kid, Nathan. I'm sorry, but you got to be 21.
I know. That seems fair.
You are a man, but then you'll be a gentleman.
Personally, in my opinion, 26, you got to be able to rent a car, and then I'll stop calling people children. But do you know what? These days, up until, do you know what? You're lucky I haven't moved the bar to 30, everybody.
I know, we're the dinosaurs of Magic now. Monty kept saying this throughout the weekend that the meteor was coming. And I mean, that's truly kind of what it felt like. One of the stories of the tournament was Team Handshake, which was a team of a bunch of the Zoomers, the younger kids in Magic who had teamed up together. And they had the field right on draft, right? They had the field right on standard. It was just Explorer where they kind of stumbled a little bit. But they had the older player's number and they came for him. Yeah,
they did.
They were riding that meteor faster.
It was Armageddon, the film.
Let's take a moment now just to talk about like being in person again, doing the show, because this is the first time we did a show in person since 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
What a difference in person makes.
It was wild.
It was so wonderful to be back with human beings doing a show. And the show, I think, turned out
really good.
Putting my producer hat on. Yeah. I think it was the best one we'd ever done.
Yeah, it was great. It looked great. It flowed great. There were great games of Magic.
Yep.
It was good. Top to bottom, man.
Top to bottom. I talked with some of the cast behind the scenes during the show, kind of get a feeling of what it was like to be back, like casting in person again. And here's some interviews I did backstage. Enjoy. Hey, what's up, everybody? I've got the one, the only, Monty DeVuti backstage at the World Championship. Monty, this is the first time, well, in a long time anyway, that we have done a show together. Mm-hmm. What is it like in person? And also, what am I like? Tell the viewers and listeners the truth.
Really annoying. But at least I could touch you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Humans. Yeah. We're back in meat space.
Back in the flesh space.
That's a even weirder way to say it, but yeah. What is the best part about doing coverage in person again?
Just it doesn't feel lonely.
Yeah.
When you're in your room after you shut off for the day, it's just like quiet and there's nobody around, nobody to shoot the shit with, and like it just feels alone.
Yeah.
And now everything's like fun.
3-dimensional. It feels 3D again.
Everything feels tangible.
Yes. What's it like too here at Magic30 with all these people in this huge hall and the World Champs going on too?
Terrifyingly busy. I walk out onto the floor and it's people everywhere. And normally it would be maybe okay, but I've just come from 2.5 years of interacting with at most 10 people on any given space. There's 10,000 people out there, it's a lot.
Okay, so number one takeaway after this weekend: Magic, life, the future. What is it? What do you got?
Coffee's really good.
Monty DeVuti, everybody.
High five.
All right, everybody. I am with Ailey Loney here backstage at the World Champs. What's been the best part for you, Ailey, coming back in person?
Seeing Maria.
Wow, she's smart. She knows what to say. What's the second best thing?
Still seeing Maria.
Great answer. Great answer.
Now, being able to hang out in person with everyone, it's been a long time. We were all like, fun fact actually, Maria laughed and cried almost for a good 2 minutes when she saw Marshall. So she has a favorite.
It's true.
That's fine, because we all love Marshall, right? And it was just the most wonderful thing. And it's just, we miss each other a lot.
It's so true. I mean, there is absolutely no substitute for coming back here, being with everybody again. It feels like a family reunion.
It does, yeah.
And it's a family that you like, which is weird.
Yeah, it's the ones you get to pick.
Yeah, unfamiliar to me, but here we are. The tournament so far, how's it been going? What's been the highlight for you?
Seeing the young guns take it over, you know, just all these young players who've made a name for themselves in the digital era of Magic, getting onto a big stage and just absolutely crushing it. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's been super cool. Like, Monty's been saying that there's a meteor coming, and for us dinosaurs,
Yeah, the meteor's coming.
the meteor's coming, and it's these young players, which is kind of cool to see. Here we are. We're on day 3 of competition, by the way. We don't know who won. You will know who won if you're listening or watching to this, but we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. Who's your guess from the top 4?
My guess, Cassis. I'd like to see Stoyer win, though.
All right. Cassis, your heart's with Stoyer. We'll find out. Actually, you know. So,
You know already, yeah.
Ailey Loney. There we go. All right. I've got Marshall to my left, Corey to my right. Stuck in the middle with these two, am I right? Okay. Marshall, we're back IRL.
What is going on?
I'm filming you for a Good Luck High Five.
Oh, okay.
Say hi.
Hi, good luck, high five.
What's the best part about being back?
Seeing you.
All right. Everybody.
She paid us to say it.
Everybody's saying
What a
that
brown
now.
noser, what a
Corey,
brown
what's
noser.
your favorite part?
Well, this is not being back for me. This is the first time for me. So
Yes,
it is incredible being able to not be doing this from my basement anymore and actually being able to hang out, realize you're a real person. It's been
and not a
incredible.
hologram.
It's been incredible.
Yeah, you've just been shining up there, Corey. I have to say,
Aw.
your happiness is contagious, and I think everybody can feel it at home who's watching the show.
It's that Midwest charm that we get, right?
right.
We're born with it.
That's right. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's the Midwest.
the Midwest.
Maybe it's really annoying.
Marshall.
We love you, you old grump.
I'm West Coast chill, man. I'm not here to get a hype. That's not what this is about.
Marshall's too cool for us, and we've
Way
known
too
that for
cool.
years. For years. But that's why we just sit next to him so we can get some of that cool aura. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. We've got somebody from backstage coming up to say hi to us.
We don't know for sure, but it's probably safest.
This is production, baby. Some more BTS content for you. Maria and Monty in a very dark hallway walking to the news desk. Let's go. Let's go. Here's a look inside the Players Lounge. Hi. World champion, currently eating a solid, Yuta Takahashi. Not for much longer.
Yeah, not going to be world champion for long.
He's got to take his moments where he can get them, you know?
Soon we're going to be calling him the former world champion.
It's true. It's true.
A few more hours.
A few more hours. All right, we're walking out onto the show floor. There's the feature match area. Camera, photographer, what's up? There's Magic30 out that way. It's our jib operator. Hi. Here's our news desk. Isn't it beautiful? There's Cedric. Looking great. Getting ready to go on for day number 3.
Okay, Maria, before we continue,
Yeah.
while we're talking about meteors and asteroids and the film Armageddon,
Yeah.
I just want to, did you see the story about how NASA used a robot to push an asteroid?
Yeah.
That's all. I just wanted to make sure everyone had heard that story.
Yeah, for
NASA
sure.
was like, do you know what? What if in the future there was an asteroid that we thought would maybe
What
hit
if
Earth,
Armageddon the movie was coming to life?
was coming to life, and we needed to do something about it? Could we, in theory,
Nudge it.
send not people, but a robot
To go boop.
to go push the asteroid? And the answer was yes.
That robot booped that asteroid.
Yes, it absolutely did. Enough to like substantially change its trajectory.
Yeah, they figured it out.
So do you know what? The really good news is that you don't have to worry about asteroids coming for you anymore.
No, it's just not going to happen.
What a weight off.
I know. We will
What a
not.
weight off
We
your
will not
shoulders.
be the dinosaurs. At least that way.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other ways.
Look, we're not saying that we're solving any of the other ways yet.
No.
There's tons of other ways.
No.
But it is just kind of nice to know, hey, that one's not one of them, man.
Yeah, and it turns out you can't laser blast an asteroid because then you just make a lot of smaller asteroids that come for you.
Yeah,
So
that
booping
seems
is the
like
way
a-
to do it.
Yeah.
Space
but
boops.
that's what that robot did.
Oh, also thanks to our friend who emailed us and let us know that they were space adjacent.
Yes. Hello to our space adjacent friend.
We were like really hoping that some astronauts or something listened to the show.
And they were like, do you know what? I've worked with NASA.
And they're like, I've worked with NASA. I listen to your show. And I'm like,
very
thank
cool.
you. Thank you.
space adjacent
We're
person.
still waiting to be listened to on the ISS, but you know, I have confidence
Yeah.
that day will come.
Someday. Someday. Do you know what? Really, I hope that our podcast is listened to by the robot who pushes the
Yes,
asteroid.
we really
That's
need
who I
a
really
bigger
want
robot
to be listening to our podcast.
contingent.
If you were like Megan, who's your dream audience for a podcast? I would
Robots.
say the robots specifically that push the asteroids.
And I want the one on Mars to listen to us too.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
You know, because it's probably pretty lonely.
Yeah. It's a robot, Maria. It doesn't feel that way.
It's time for our Brothers War preview card.
Wow, I can't believe how close this set is to coming out. Next week, we're going to have Judge Rob on.
Yes, next week is Judge Rob to get you ready for
Woof.
your pre-release.
How is it already Judge Rob
I
time
don't
already?
know.
I don't know.
I truly don't know.
But we've got an awesome preview card for you today.
I love this card.
Maria, I'll let you, I'll let you take.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you so
precedent here.
much. Our preview card is Take Flight. 3 and a blue for an uncommon aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has flying. And whenever this creature attacks, draw a card.
Whenever this creature attacks,
doesn't have to
not
hit.
deals combat damage. So if it's gonna just like bounce off of their creature, that's
Great.
fine. You get your card.
And this gives the creature flying, so it
Yeah.
has evasion, much easier to get in with an attack.
Yes, absolutely. It says draw a card. I'm happy. It's an aura. Maria's happy.
Yes, absolutely.
We're happy.
We're both happy.
We're both happy.
This card is wonderful too, because unless they bounce your creature in response, you will get a card back off of it no
Yes.
matter what. So even if you're like, I kind of have to cycle this card, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just have your creature attack,
Nice.
and you still get the card back. It is expensive, but I think I want to play this card.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's worth it.
I think that I am playing this card in limited for sure.
The flying bonus is just really, really, really strong.
Yeah.
And when it's just the attack trigger, so they can just like bounce off each other and you're still drawing cards.
Maria, we have to talk about the sad story moment of this though.
Yeah.
So this is a story spotlight card.
Yep.
And it says, quote, though neither brother cared to admit it, flying the ancient thopter was their last happy moment together.
That is truly heartbreaking.
Wow. Woof.
You can read more Magic Story on mtgstory.com where you can find
Yeah.
out about the story moment. But they really gave us a brutal story moment.
Yes, they did. Hey, guess what? These brothers, after this, never going to be happy again.
They hated each other for the rest of their lives after this moment.
After this moment. But you know what? This one's a nice one.
It is, and it does look, the art is beautiful. It's done by
it's
Joshua
very nice.
Kairos, and you can see they've made a thopter. It's soaring. Can you imagine how happy you're?
Oh,
Like,
it's gorgeous.
Look at this awesome
Yeah.
airplane we invented. We're the
They
Wright
found
brothers.
it, I think.
What'd you say?
They found
They
it.
just found it?
Yeah,
They didn't
it's
make
an
it?
ancient thopter.
Oh.
So
Yeah, it does say ancient.
I'm sure that they had to do some repair work.
Okay.
They're like the Wright brothers. If conspiracy theory, here you go. The Wright brothers didn't invent a plane. They unearthed one in their backyard and then flew it. There you go. How about that?
Ancient aliens put it under the ground
Yes.
in their backyard.
And the Wright brothers found
and
it.
they found it, but then they're
Yes.
like, ooh, we invented this.
Okay, no, contemporary aliens were like, it's about time that everybody developed flight here.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what we're going to do,
They're gonna
even though we're
push
not
us.
supposed to influence, is we're going to bury the prototype for an airplane in the Wright brothers' backyard.
this theory.
Let them dig it up.
Yeah, that's a good theory.
Okay, if you want to get into the Wright brothers alien conspiracy theory, just tweet us with the hashtag Wright brothers alien conspiracy.
That's a long hashtag.
I know.
All right, Brothers War preview cards are now out in full force with the pre-release happening next weekend.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. And also, these cards are really cool that we're going to talk about. They also, at the Brothers War panel, played the trailer for the Brothers War.
Yes.
Which is sick.
It's really cool.
Go look at it.
I really liked it.
Yeah. It's very dramatic. You're going to have to see Bad Johnny.
I know.
You're going to have to come face to face with Bad Johnny.
I'm so sad about Bad Johnny.
Swiping it to Fairy with his big ol' axe.
I'm so sad.
So
Johnny, you were just a precious little kitten.
I know. Not anymore.
Oh well.
Now he have laser eye.
I suppose that's a condolence. He has sweet laser eye.
He does have sweet laser eye.
If the Phyrexians offered you a laser eye, would you go Phyrexian? What would it take, Megan? They just want to help you. 2 laser eyes.
2 laser eyes. Do you know what? Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad.
So we're going to do this week is go over some of the cool new cards that are our most favorites. Then next week when Judge Rob is here, we'll go through all the new mechanics and the tricky cards that might trip you up at the pre-release. Because, once again, pre-release is in your LGS before it's on Arena.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to know this stuff before you head into your local game store. But we're just going to call it a few of our favorites that we've seen.
Yes, because there's some really cool cards.
Yes.
Maria, hit us with one.
All right, so this card is very exciting to me. Lay Down Arms. It's a single white for a sorcery at uncommon. Exile target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control.
Yes, maybe pointing towards wanting to push people into like some monocolor synergies.
Absolutely. Its controller gains 3 life. So they're part of that. I love this card. I mean, monocolor, right? You need a critical number of planes to be able to play this.
Yes.
In limited, I think that's kind of a cool idea to think about because there's so many artifacts running around in this set. A lot of the Unearth that we're seeing has single mana color cost for the activation of Unearth, which is a mechanic that we're seeing come back here in this set. So like in draft, are we going to be playing monocolor decks with a bunch of artifacts?
Maybe we are.
And then in constructed, of course, this has huge implications.
Single white mana. Wow.
Single white mana. I love this card.
Yeah. Similarly, I'm going to call out a blue card that also has that same monocolor like synergy with it.
Vibe.
Flow of Knowledge. This is 4 and a blue instant. Draw a card for each island you control, then discard 2 cards. You're telling me I could draw 5 cards at instant speed?
That is what I'm telling you. Look at that.
That's what you're telling me. You're telling me I can draw 5 cards at instant speed for 5 mana.
You can play some mono blue?
So you can tell me I can draw 5 cards
instant
at instant speed?
Yeah.
5 mana?
5 mana.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I'm very interested in that deal. Tell me more.
Yeah, that card.
Very
that's a very cool card as well. I, of course, love my creature decks. So I'm going to call this card out because we do have some sweeper effects that have been previewed with this set, unfortunately. I'm looking at you, New Anger of the Gods.
Hello, a New Anger of the Gods.
What's that one called? The brothers poop on you? I don't know what it's called. I just tweeted it out with the word no in all caps. I was like, no, I don't want Anger of the Gods to happen again. Thank you. I've been doing fine. You know, things have been going okay for me. And then I saw this card and I was like,
things have been going okay for me.
Brotherhood's End.
Yeah.
1 red sorcery. Choose one. Deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Or destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Get out of here.
A card Maria and I do not agree on.
Anyway, that card exists again.
Yeah.
So Hajar Loyal Bodyguard caught my eye. It's red-green for 3/3, which is already like an absurd rate. Mm-hmm. It's a soldier, which I'll talk about mattering a little bit later. Sacrifice it. Legendary creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn.
Nice.
So you can at least save your creatures from your legendary creatures from the likes of the brothers poop on you.
Eli Ludman was like, "Oh, I'm so glad they made this human," because he plays humans in Modern.
Oh yeah, this is a human soldier.
It's a human soldier.
Okay,
Very important.
that's for sure.
Yeah,
and there's some legendary creature decks kind of running around at the edges of stuff. We talked about one last week, so hey, maybe that deck is kind of cool now. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, I picked a card for Prototype, which is Arcane Proxy, 7 mana. For a 4/3, when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, exile target instant or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to Arcane Proxy's power from your graveyard. Copy that card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost.
Sick.
There is a prototype version for 1 blue, which is a 2/1. Hello.
So
Yes,
prototype
please. Thank
new
you.
mechanic in Brothers War.
Yes.
That allows you to cast one of these big bad, like kind of Eldrazi feeling
Yes.
situations because their mana cost is always like huge.
7, 8, 9.
For less mana. And then you still get to do the cool things that the card does.
Yeah, it has all the text in the text box.
Yeah.
But it's just
just
smaller,
smaller.
and it has a color.
Yeah. This card, I don't see a future where this card is not like a constructed playable card.
Yeah, right? Like you're telling me that people aren't going to be snapping for one blue
People
blue?
are going to be snapping up in here.
People are gonna be snapping.
This is Snapcaster Mage.
You're snapping.
Take 2.
We're all
You be
snapping.
snapping.
We all be snapping.
I want to talk about this prototype card, Skitterbeam Battalion.
Oh.
First of all, because its name is Skitterbeam, which is very cute.
It's just very cute, and it's a pretty cute card.
It's a cute card. It looks like it's skittering around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. Is it basically a huge... What was that one that we named cutest card of the year? Skitter, goes and gets you a land.
Oh yeah, skits. Skittering Surveyor.
Skittering Surveyor. This is like a big skits.
It's a big skits. Big.
This
Emphasis
here
on big.
is Daddy Skits.
Daddy skits.
Call this card.
All right, everybody. Your job now is to make sure that everyone calls Skitterbeam Battalion Daddy Skits.
9 mana. Woof. For an artifact creature construct, this is a mythic. Prototype, 3 red, so it becomes a 2/2 if you want to play that instead of 9. Trample haste. When it enters the battlefield, when Daddy Skits enters the battlefield, if you cast it, create 2 tokens tokens that are copies of it. It's a 4/4. So you just get get 3. Daddy Skits give you 3. Love that card. Because we were talking about legendary creatures, and I mentioned that I wanted to talk about soldiers a little bit.
Yeah.
Harbin Vanguard Aviator is another one, much like that friggin' 3/3 for 2 mana I just talked about. This is a 3/2 for 2 mana, but it also has flying. It's white and a blue for a legendary human soldier at rare. Whenever you attack with 5 or more soldiers, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain flying until end of turn. I love it!
Yeah.
This is like absolutely absurd and limited. But also, I think there might be a standard soldiers deck.
Oh. Yeah.
And the reason I think that, I'm going to name 2 cards real quick here.
Tell us about it.
It's Fortified Beachhead, which is land. It's blue-white. Okay, so that card was blue-white. This is blue-white. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a soldier card from your hand. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you reveal the soldier card this way, or you control a soldier. So, very easy to have it enter untapped, add white or blue, and then for 5 and tap it, soldiers you control get +1/+1 until end of turn.
That sounds pretty push.
Okay, that's pushed, right?
Yeah, that sounds like you're pushing soldiers.
You're pushing soldiers.
Hey, don't you come onto my battlefield and push soldiers,
They're
okay?
they're not really fighting. They're just like,
They're just push.
Siege Veteran, 2 and a white, human soldier, rare, 2/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, make a 1/1 soldier artifact creature token.
Pushing soldiers over here. Pushing soldiers.
And I am here for it. This is my kind of deal. I love these cards so far.
Maria does not support the military-industrial complex.
I do not.
Pushing soldiers.
But I am about pushing soldiers and magic. So
yeah,
I'm very excited. I hope it happens.
I'm going to talk about one more card that I'm excited about, which is Teferi Temporal Pilgrim.
You got to talk about the big T.
You got to talk about the big T. 3 blue for a Teferi, 4 loyalty. Whenever you draw a card, put a loyalty counter on Teferi Temporal Pilgrim. 0, draw a card.
So are people going to do something, kind of Banana Towns where they're just like,
I hope so.
Draw a million and then ultimate. Anyway, go ahead.
I hope so. So 0, draw a card. So you're gonna plus you'll put a loyalty counter on him when you do that. Bless you. And when you draw a card for turn, so you can Teferi's essentially +2 if you plus them.
Yeah.
Each turn. -2, create a 2/2 blue spirit creature token with vigilance, and whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
So you're plussing Teferi and you're going to plus your blue spirits.
Yeah, you'll put a counter on your spirit if you plus Teferi.
Wow. Okay.
-12, target opponent chooses a permanent they control and returns it to its owner's hand. Then they shuffle each non-land permanent they control into its owner's library.
Okay.
Great. Yes, please. Yeah. What can I say? I love it. I love it.
That's got Meghan written all over it.
Draw cards. Pure drawing cards. Exactly what you're meant to do.
You're not meant to play a spirit. You're meant to draw cards.
You're meant to draw cards.
Get those sticks out of here.
Ugh. Look, I guess he comes with a spirit sometimes, but
Yeah, that's
all
true.
planeswalkers come with a spirit.
I've got to say, from what we've seen so far of Brothers War, it seems very, very good. Like, these cards seem really high power.
Yes.
And it
They
feels
seem
like
exceptionally high powered.
it's going to come in and kind of disrupt standard
Yes.
in a way that I'm here for.
Let's see it.
Let's shake it up.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think the set looks great. Like we said, next week, Judge Rob's going to be here to go over all of this. The set is going to be fully previewed by then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super looking forward to this set and the pre-release coming up on the 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
It's time to say thank you to another one of our sponsors, Ultra Pro.
Ultra Pro. They're just a great sponsor.
They're a
we
great
really
sponsor.
love working with them. Maria, what are you looking at these days?
So they've got a Black Friday preview sale
Ooh.
where they have 20% off select one-touch card holders.
All right.
And if you don't know what those are, they're really, really cool. They're essentially to show off your best Magic cards. They're a case.
Yeah.
And they're called one touch because it's a magnet. So you just put it in there, boom, you're done. And you can they're beautiful display cases for your best cards.
Yeah.
So you can get
Love it.
There's a million different kinds that you can get. All different sorts of sizes, also different sorts of protection for them. And they're 20% off now. And I'm like looking through all this stuff and I'm like,
Do it. And
what do I need here?
if you use our code GLHF at checkout, you get another 5% on top of it.
I know. I'm going to.
You stack these savings, stack those savings, just like you can stack their storage that we talked about last week.
Yeah, I think the storage thing is really, really cool. These things are really cool. I'm going to put our discount on here right now. Apply. The discount is GLHF, everybody. So you can add that discount on top
of it.
On top of the 20% off for the Black Friday deal.
So go out there and do it.
Yeah, check it out.
Get some really cool stuff. Ultra Pro, like everything you need for storage of your Magic collection, everything that you need for celebrating Magic art, everything that you need to just like effectively play Magic, like dice and score pads. They've got you covered every axis, right? Like every axis.
We talked about too, if like showing off your cool cards in like pretty ways is not something you're interested in, the Secret Lair Super Drop that came out in October, which is the dress to what was it called?
Dress to impress, dress to express, dress to
if looks could kill.
Oh, we were on the wrong phrase.
But we were on the right vibe.
Yes.
If looks could kill. That was really beautiful art in that Secret Lair. They have playmats of that.
They have playmats of it, and it's really cool, actually.
The Reflector Mage one is my favorite.
They're great.
And
I just want that cat.
It's gorgeous.
I want that cat.
I
in
want
that
this
space
playmat.
hamster ball.
So I might go use code GLHF to also buy this playmat.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, GLHF, 5% off.
Okay, everybody, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five. We stuffed about 10 pounds of content into a 1 hour episode for you.
Thank you once again, Lynn. I hope you liked your show.
There you
I
go,
hope
Lynn.
you liked your show.
Thank
This one was for you. Become a patron to have a show for you. And to get access to our Discord. And get ready. If you want to get early access to our very special limited edition, gorgeous Boggle Treasure Cruise playmat, you can become a patron and then up your pledge at the end of the month, or you can hold off, become a new patron in December for $10 or more, and you'll get one of these babies if you're one of the first 100 people.
It is truly gorgeous.
It's so cool.
Thank you to Card Kingdom, cardkingdom.com/GLHF. Ultra Pro, use code GLHF to get whatever you need for your magical life. We love our sponsors, and you should too. Next episode, always one of our favorites, Judge Rob, coming on the show.
Judge Rob episode coming up. Hey, if you become a patron right now, that could be your episode.
You could be the Judge
Everyone
Rob
wants
episode.
to have the Judge Rob episode.
They do.
And that goes for becoming a new patron or increasing. So
absolutely.
Get your Judge Rob episode.
Get your own Judge Rob.
Yes.
In your life. Everyone needs a Judge Rob.
Everyone needs a Judge Rob.
We should get a Judge Rob action figure.
I wish that was a thing we could have. I'm going to go look into how we make that.
Meghan's going to look that up. We'll see you back here next week.